Welcome to the second in a series of Lexdech IP protection series. Today we're joined by David Bloom, who's going to introduce himself, and he'll be talking about the important topic of IP insurance.
Right, thank you, Damien. Thank you, John. So my name is David Bloom. I am a director and founder of Safeguard IP. So we're the UK's only dedicated IP insurance broker. By way of background, I was an IP litigator for about 15 years in London. I helped clients enforce their trademarks and patent rights. But about 5 years ago, I decided that there was a gap in the market actually for insurance products that helped businesses fund IP litigation. Throughout my legal career, I often clients have done all the right things in terms of getting IP in place, trademarks, patents. But when they found they were being infringed, they didn't have the funds to pay for expensive litigation. And when I was a lawyer, I often looked into the IP insurance market and could never really find products or policies that I thought were fit for purpose. So I spoke with some insurance markets 4 or 5 years ago, and we've developed some products that I think are far better for smaller businesses predominantly, but also for larger businesses that really do help fund issues that arise with IP. So I left the legal profession, set up Safeguard IP, and for the last 4 or 5 years we've been advising businesses of all sizes on IP insurance.
All right, that's sorry, Damien. Yeah, that's fascinating, David. And so you talked about small to medium businesses, I think, as your client base. What are their major benefits, and what exactly are they buying, and what does it cover?
Okay, well, I'll go over what they cover first, and then we'll look at the benefits. So, bottom line is that they fund litigation. So whether you're enforcing rights against third parties or you're defending claims of infringement, if you have a policy in place and the claim it can be claimed under the insurance, then the insurer will fund the litigation, including any damages that are awarded against an insured party if they're found to infringe an IP right. So essentially that's what they cover. They're worldwide, they offer worldwide protection, so they're quite comprehensive. So the benefits really, my clients buy policies for a number of reasons. Firstly, obviously to protect cash flow. So if an issue does arise, they don't want to be the ones funding litigation. It's a stressful enough process as it is, and very expensive. So if you can take the financial exposure out of it, it becomes an easier decision to make whether to litigate or not. Some of the hardest meetings I had as a lawyer was talking to clients and saying, well, you're being infringed, you should really stop them, but obviously if you press go on litigation, it's going to cost X amount of pounds. So if you know you're being funded, that makes the decision a lot easier if you're looking to enforce your IP. So that's predominantly the reason why clients buy. Secondly, if they're licensing their IP to third parties and giving indemnities around the IP, then the policies do cover exposures under warranties and indemnities that are given. So that gives the insured parties some comfort that if an issue arises, certainly smaller businesses licensing rights to larger companies where the exposures could be significant, knowing that you have a pot of money there to cover those exposures, brings certain peace of mind.
So does this cover all types of IP?
Yeah, it covers all types of IP, trademarks to trade secrets, hard, soft, registered or unregistered. So
okay. Very good.
Another reason if clients.
No. Sorry, I'm interrupting you.
Just another driver for buying policies is if clients are looking to raise funds and in their pitch they're able to tell the investor that their IP is insured. That obviously gives comfort to potential investors that if an issue arises, the investor's not going to have to put their hands in their pockets to fund the litigation.
A lot of benefits, and it really helps the SME to protect their IP.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Very good. So can you provide your service to firms outside of the UK?
We can. Brexit has thrown up a few challenges, to say the least. Some insurers aren't able to insure EU-based businesses, but some can. So certainly it's a case-by-case basis for EU companies, but for businesses outside the EU, we can get them on cover without too much trouble.
And David, the good news about this, and last time I spoke to you at least, is it's not actually too expensive. It's sort of within reach of most small and medium enterprises, in my recollection. Could you just give us a sense of how much it actually costs and what sort of cover you get?
Sure. So there's a bit of a misconception that it's outrageously expensive and no small business can afford it, and that perhaps was the case 10, 15 years ago, but certainly over the last 4 or 5 years since I've been involved in the industry, prices have fallen significantly. So I look at the market as 2 tiers in the market, one for businesses for a turnover up to 5-10 million, and there's a price point for those companies, and above 10 million it's more bespoke, so it's harder to give guidelines. But for smaller businesses, you can get £100,000 worth of cover for around £1,000, and say up to £1 million worth of cover for £5,000 a year. So it's an annual premium, but you're looking at roughly those costs. So up to £1 million worth of cover will cost around £5,000 a year. The amount of cover you need really depends on where your exposures lie, what industries you're in. So there is a bit of a bespoke element to each policy, but as a guideline, you'd be looking at that price point.
And would that cover an infringement anywhere in the world, or? Anywhere
in the world, whether that's the US, Timbuktu, wherever you are, wherever you're trading. If you are only trading in the UK, you can restrict cover to the UK, and that will obviously reduce the premium somewhat. But the figures I just provided would be for worldwide cover.
David, it seems to me, as from an outsider's perspective, that IP insurance has started to, I think you were one of the pioneers in the UK, but it started to change, I think, over the last couple of years, and it may be a faster growing insurance segment than it has been in the past. I mean, I think a few other businesses have jumped in on this space as well. So what's your perspective? Has it changed that much over the last few years, and how will it look over the next 3 or 5 years, do you think? How will it change?
Okay, what I think I brought to the industry was a focus on smaller businesses. Historically, prices were quite high, and insurers were only really interested in the larger risks. For me, the businesses that need it most are the smaller businesses who obviously can't afford the litigation. So I've really focused with the insurers on catering for that market. So demand is growing. Awareness is actually quite low still. There's not many brokers who are comfortable with advising on IP because it's not within their kind of understanding. So, but that's changing. More and more brokers are speaking to clients about it. It's still a very niche market, but there are a number of insurers who are looking for new ways to generate income, and they see the IP space as kind of a huge potential growth market. The numbers of patent holders or trademark holders who have IP insurance in place is minuscule. So, and every year that I've been involved, the number of inquiries and the number of policies I'm selling is just increasing exponentially. So as word spreads of the availability of this type of insurance, the market is growing, which is good because it means cost is coming down.
From what you've said, it does cover unregistered rights in the sense of copyright and trade secrets. What about domain names? What if there was a domain name infringement of your trademark?
So what's important to note about these policies is they're not designed to cover what I call low-level claims. So if you have, say you notice someone's infringing your trademark, and you get your trademark attorney to write a letter, and the other side walk away, they put their hands up and say, I'm sorry, we do infringe, we won't do it again, and they walk away. The costs involved in that type of action won't be covered because the excesses are set to just capture claims that really don't go away. So they could be anywhere from £3,000 to £5,000, the excesses. So what you're looking at for a domain name dispute would probably fall within the excess because they can be resolved fairly quickly. But if you have a patent or trademark dispute where the other side, if you're enforcing your rights and the other side refuses to go away or refuses to stop the infringement, it's those types of situations where the insurance comes handy.
David, do your clients sort of advertise that they have safeguard IP inside? Because to me, having investors are impressed, of course, but those who are thinking, working with you as a partner, or maybe about to infringe, but if they see that you've got IP insurance, it's another deterrent, isn't it? Do people actually let people know about it in your sort of comprehension, or is it just something they don't tell people about?
Absolutely. I encourage my clients to put on their website that their IP is insured, because it acts as a great deterrent. Certainly for larger businesses, is looking at the IP of a smaller business. If they know that the smaller business is funded, they might think twice about infringing. So certainly, I had a client the other day who took out a policy, and I've got a stamp that basically says insured IP, and they put it all over their website. They're also going to create a sticker of it to put on their prototypes. So anyone who comes into contact with a prototype knows that the IP is insured.
That's brilliant.
Excellent.
Well,
okay. Thank you very much, David. That was very good, and I'm sure our listeners have enjoyed that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, David. Thanks, Damien. Take care, everyone. Bye now.
Bye.